Take it out of his pay.
Cause Michael's got it. Someone get that.
We'll call the order, or the meeting to order. Ryan will open us in prayer.
Gracious Heavenly Father, thank you for this day and just everybody was safely able to get here and be with those that are still trying to get here. And just we know you can calm the storms, but just get us through the storms. Just bless us now as we go on with the business of Obion County and in our area. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Amen.
You lead us in prayer, Kenny?
Pledge.
Or pledge, yeah, sorry.
I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Yeah, not my strong suit, leading meetings. All right, first up, we have the approval of May 12th, 2025 meetings.
So move.
Motion from Ralph, second from Terry. All in favor, say aye. All opposed, nay. No nays, motion carries. We'll hear West State Corrections, Michael Walton first.
Morning, everyone.
Morning.
Thank you for seeing me first. I'm here on behalf of the 27th Judicial District Recovery Court Program. Been in this for the last several years, just for those that are maybe new to commissioners here as far as the budget is concerned. The 27th Judicial District Recovery Court is for Obion and Weakley County individuals. Weakley County is the grant recipient of mental health grants, $132,000. And we go before each county commission to see if they would partially, fund an additional $35,000. We have yet, and don't expect this year either, to get that to $35,000 from each county. And we ask that, as much of the treatment funds that's from the Drug Court Treatment Act of 2003 be paid first whenever the county contributes whatever's left from the grant. We definitely try to spend all the $132,000 that the grant that they give us, so we can continue that for each additional year. So we just some figures. Current to date, we've had 225 graduates since we started the program in 2002 is when we first took our first participants in. Started by the previous Judge Eckery and continuing today. We do have a graduation scheduled here in the Obion County Circuit Courtroom on June the 6th. Expect to have 4, possibly 5 individuals to graduate that day. You all should be receiving a letter in the mail as an invitation. If you've never been to one, Mr. Puckett has been to most all of them and can attest to some of the life-changing stories that these folks have. So we have to answer any questions that anybody may have. But
Anybody have any questions or entertain any motions?
Motion to approve.
Second.
Motion approved and a second. All in favor? Aye. All opposed, nay. Motion carries. Thank you.
thank you.
Thank you.
I appreciate your time.
What was the amount?
Do what?
What was the amount
35,000
that we're doing? Is the 35,000?
up to 35.
Up next, we have Chancery Court, Emily Hall.
Good morning.
Morning.
Good morning.
Emily Hall, Chancery Court. I'm not sure if you want me to go line by line, but some of the dues, memberships, my maintenance agreement with my software company, all of those things have gone up. But I was able to reduce my budget as a whole. There's some things that I was able to cut. Just publications in the paper, I was able to get that reduced pretty significantly. And then redid the chancellor's office this last year, so I just removed that from the budget. That was just a one-time expense. So I was able to, reduce my budget by a net of almost $5,000.
That's good, yeah.
The publications, is that because you have fewer tax sales
Yes,
this time?
yes, fewer properties.
Yeah. Are we going to have to pay again, or do you have anything you're selling this year? Are we gonna have to pay that again come, when was
Yes.
that? Is it June?
No, the sale last year was in March, but I'm
March.
having it in May. It's May 22nd,
Okay.
so around June. If
when-
they're only,
If they don't redeem, we
I'm
pay it?
happy to report that there are only 15 properties in this tax sale as opposed to the
Yeah.
126 that I had last year.
And that'll be kind of how it is moving forward. It'll
Yes.
be a small number.
Yes.
How
That's
many
the plan.
properties did we have last year that did not sell? Oh,
The county ended up with, I
Yeah.
think it was 42.
so what,
40.
where are they, where's those properties now? Like what, do we still own them?
I just deeded, so the property owner has a year to redeem those properties.
Oh,
And
okay.
at the end of that year, I can deed them to the county. That just happened. I just deeded those properties to the county.
So the
now
county now owns those 42 parcels.
Don't quote me on that. It's less
Yeah.
than 40, between 40 and 45.
Okay.
42.
So what are we to do with them now?
Now I'm selling them, I'm in the process of
That's-
selling them.
Yeah, that's
So
what,
you're gonna
you
try
have
to
to
sell 'em
wait
again?
to sell them, right, for that year.
So then
Is it go by
Yes.
auction, or is it?
it's up to the mayor as to
Okay.
how he disposes of them.
So I had a question for Steve the other day, kind of concerning this, because he mentioned it in full commission, and I don't think that I still totally understood. Some of these you sold have city taxes. Do those still revert to us?
Mhm.
So how do we recoup a portion of the city, or do we have to pay the city? How does that work?
So the city was paid.
Okay.
The money that the county paid to my office paid those, if there were city
Okay.
taxes, it was
So,
paid.
so it's wiped out. There's no city lien on any of those
No.
remaining. Okay. That's where I don't think I asked the question properly the other day, 'cause
So
that's,
the county will recover that when and if they sell it.
okay, all right.
So who maintains these properties now? Now, the county?
Yeah.
Yes,
So we're having to mow them, we're having to,
I mean,
In theory.
Unless we can
theory.
convince
Yeah,
the
in
cities,
theory.
or, it's in the middle of nowhere, there's,
yeah, yeah. But anything that's, of course, in the city has an ordinance
yeah. So hopefully we can convince
that
the
has to
cities.
be mowed. Yeah, so, but my question is, so if the,
the idea is for the county to dispose of those properties as quickly as possible, and I think that's the mayor's intention.
Can we get a list? I know that's not related to your budget. Can we get a list of the properties?
It's been in the paper.
Has it? Oh, okay.
Three times, I think.
The ones
Yeah.
that you're trying to sell?
Yeah,
I think they
We've got a
have.
list.
okay, yeah, that's all
Cause I've seen it in the paper, but I thought that was.
yeah, I thought that was
The
the.
delinquent ones from this year.
Well, we had those and we put a notice in there about these other ones.
He's
didn't we?
advertising
Not,
the ones that the
not the
county.
full list, just that
Yeah,
one.
that they were gonna,
Yeah.
okay, yeah. And we got them on that GovEase website.
Oh, okay.
I don't guess there's anything we can do with them,
Judy's.
with them, for,
We're the ones that,
concerning county government.
the
There's
ones
nothing-
that they are, no, they wouldn't be valuable to.
Okay.
Judy's got a statement.
I just want you to be aware that those taxes will not become exempt until the day that she signs that deed. So there will still be a tax for 2025 for part of that year. I have to prorate all those. So from January to, I think, April 18th or 24th, somewhere in there, there will still be taxes for this year.
Will that be owed by the county?
County, yes.
Okay,
Now, if it becomes exempt the day that it goes into the county's name, but if it sells, it immediately becomes taxable again.
okay.
So it can be exempt from April to December if it don't sell, or it could be exempt from April to June. If it does sell, then we won't have to prorate until taxes are ready to come out. But I just wanted you to be aware, there will be a tax for 2025 for part of that year. And if it's in the city, same thing, there'll be a city tax on that,
so do we have to pay that city tax again
for that prorated
for
amount.
that prorated
Yes,
amount?
it would still be a lien on that.
I can understand the city tax, but get elementary with me here, what about the county property, where does that money go?
That, I guess it goes back into wherever y'all decide it goes. I mean, all I know is law tells me I have
Okay.
to prorate it and I can't
Yeah,
forget.
I was just trying to figure out, saying that the county property taxes will still be held on it. I'm just trying to figure out how we pay
That's
that to
more of a
ourselves.
question
It's really hard to explain this
for
one
Tracy.
because like last year, we had to literally write a check to ourselves to buy a property that we didn't sell, so we could get it to ourselves to see if then it would sell again, you know, this year. And it was like, do we have a penalty, do we have a penalty to ourselves? So it's kind of it's more of a bookkeeping thing, but the state makes it be that way, so.
All right, we got any more questions? I'm sorry.
Don't forget, there are still 24 taxes that are not paid on some of those.
Okay.
And
Yeah,
I
the
do
la-
know that Steve and everybody's checking on some of it, but there are still 24s that have not been paid.
At the time that we had the last sale, the 24 taxes weren't due, so we only collected through 23. So they're gonna be 24 and 25 taxes.
Now, this coming year, are the taxes due at your next tax sale? Will it be the same scenario?
So I'm collecting through 24 at those, 25. Right.
Yeah,
I'm
okay.
collecting
Okay.
what's,
So everything, yeah.
yeah, everything that's left.
Hey.
I'll give them a minute to get settled. Anybody have any more questions for Emily?
Make a motion that we approve her budget unless the chairman has any questions, but,
I'll
make a
second.
motion that we approve her budget with flying colors, considering we have
Yeah, that's right.
a reduction, so.
Motion.
Second.
Second, all in favor? Aye.
Thank you.
Motion carries, and I will pass the baton to Sam. We are on item 3, ag extension.
Ms. Rebecca.
So, good morning on this rainy Friday morning.
Morning.
So I am Rebecca Surratt. I have the privilege of serving as the county director for O'Brien County Extension right next door. I do want to, just in case anybody's kind of unsure, just give a quick reminder about how our budget operates. We are funded partially by the University of Tennessee as well as Tennessee State University, since we do have one staff member who's employed by them. And then, of course, the county funds roughly 33% of our remaining budget. So you have our budget in front of you. I do want to point out the biggest change compared to our fiscal year 2025 budget. We did see changes to how our benefits are calculated. Both universities adopted a flat rate percentage on those, which does reduce our budget. So you'll see a savings cost this year for our budget of a little over $6,000 as well, that we were able to reduce our overall budget. Does anyone have any specific questions about anything else I can answer?
That sounds mighty good.
It does, doesn't it?
Basically, they moved lines 201 through 210 up into the salary supplements. Is that what it looks like?
That is correct. With the adoption of that flat rate benefits, they no longer separate it out. I don't have the information on exactly how much, like workman's comp and 401ks, it's all lumped together. And so I provided Harley with what information I could, and that's kind of why the best solution they came up with is how to still put all of that in our budget. And if anybody else wants information directly from the university on why that happened, I can provide you with that.
Any other questions about Mr. Ratt's budget? Motion to approve.
Motion.
Commissioner
Second.
Norman, Commissioner Gray, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Very good. Thank you, Mr. Ratt.
Thank you. I do want to just, it doesn't relate directly to my budget, but in the case of transparency, for this committee, some of you are aware that we are in need of a new office, and I won't elaborate on that now, but I just want this committee to know that I am in the process of researching outside funding sources through grants and other areas, that in the future we can bring some dollars into the county to help support that. And as I get that information, I do plan to share it with you all, but I just wanted to be transparent that I am doing research to maybe make that happen in future years.
Where do we sit on, in amount of, are we the largest or second largest in the state for agriculture?
We are, I'm not sure as far as ranking, but I do know like for 2023, our agriculture input was over $7 million. So if you want that exact ranking, I can get that for you. But yeah, we're one of the top in the
It's,
state.
I think it's kind of a pride thing that if we can say we're number one or number two in the state of Tennessee in production of agriculture,
Absolutely.
when we talk to people that are visitors from out of town, it's something you can say, hey, we're number two in the state of agriculture,
Mhm.
in the state of Tennessee, so.
Yeah.
It'd be good for us to know.
Yeah.
In the full commission.
I will get that information for you, and some of the grants that I know are out there are through Tennessee Department of Agriculture, so they would relate directly to our agriculture standing.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
All right, thank you. For Ms. Redden.
Good morning, I think I'm up next. Does anybody have any questions for me?
Ms. Redden, do you have more deputies now than you had about 2 years ago, or is it just over time the raises have increased? That line
So, in the past, I had myself plus 2 full-time deputies. And when one of those left, I hired 2 part-timers, which saved the county money in a lot of ways. And I had someone working 8:30 to 12:30 and somebody working 12:30 to 4:30. One of those has recently resigned as well, so I'm probably just gonna go back to 2 full-time deputies plus myself. Haven't made that decision yet. Then I have those 2 part-time students who work when the schools are out of session and they are helping to scan the records. Whenever I got a bid for that work about 4 or 5 years ago, I think the bid was $150,000 plus, and that was just to scan the deeds and some of the miscellaneous books. But these students are scanning everything, and, at a cost of $12 an hour, I think. So that's my part-time personnel line, if you're wondering there, and I reduced it last year. I had 10,000 in there last year, and then you asked us to make as many cuts as we could, and I looked at what I'd spent, so I reduced it to 2,500, and then ended up spending more than that, so we moved some money. So I just put it back at 10,000. I don't anticipate using all that, but I wanted it there if, in the event, one of them's graduating from high school, and she will be available more with a college schedule than she was when she was in high school. But it sure is helping. It helps reduce the amount of time that we spend on the phone, because those records are now available online once we get them scanned.
What causes the fluctuation in maintenance agreements?
Okay, last year I had to have a new server installed, and part of that is just what the auditors require. Once that hardware and software no longer is capable of updating, then the auditors say you've got to have this. So last year I had that big fluctuation because I had to have a new server, and it was around $10,000. So I won't have to have that for a while.
So what exactly do you call a maintenance agreement then? Is it just services, like getting a new
Software, my
software?
software vendors, yeah. There are 2 main software vendors across the state of Tennessee, and most of West and Middle use the software vendor that I use. And they're just top notch, and
So I guess getting a new server, that's a one-time purchase, and then you
Well,
probably
once
have like
every-
a subscription or something on
yes,
top of that.
yes. It's
Okay.
a yearly maintenance fee for them to provide support for that software and hardware that they provide.
Yeah, okay.
I mean, that server is not a one-time, it's probably once every 5 or 6 years.
Yeah.
One question about that, I was thinking about this last night. Is we purchase software, hardware, servers and things like that, why couldn't we include that in the price of the, whatever we buy? Because those maintenance agreements are constantly based on what's going on. And then it gets just part of the, if we buy these on 1 day notice, it's kind of thrown in there with it, and we don't even recognize it as when we do the budget. I don't know if that's even possible, or if it's the state auditor's mandate that you have it, but if you had it fixed into the package, when you buy this big server, then we would never recognize that there is a maintenance going up or down, and you have to adjust your budget. I don't know if that's-
Sorry, does it work like copiers? Like, or do you actually own the server, or are they coming to service it and you're just kind of renting it? Like, you know how copy machines
Right,
are?
some of both,
Uh,
some of both.
Yeah.
So what do you ask me to do, Sam?
Well, like, if we're gonna buy a $25,000 server, and instead of, okay, it's a one-time $25,000 server, but with that server, it's like, you know you're gonna have to pay maintenance effort, but just go ahead and figure that in, it's gonna be an extra $15,000 over 10 years. You go ahead and add that to the $25,000 server, it's all part of the 1 day note when we buy this server, or you buy it out of your budget. And then you can almost do away with the maintenance effort, and you don't know what it's gonna be from 1 year to the next, and they're constantly, well, expenses have gone up, and we're gonna have to go up on maintenance effort. I just didn't know, it would be a way that you could lock in a maintenance effort over 10 years or something, without floating up and down.
I
didn't
don't
realize her office
know.
had a maintenance person. Her
Maintenance
office.
agreement.
Maintenance
Oh,
agreement.
oh, okay,
Maintenance
maintenance
agreement, I
agreement,
didn't
okay.
mean maintenance effort, I meant maintenance agreement,
Okay.
I'm sorry.
I think that maintenance agreement, it depends on how many documents I record each year.
Okay,
I think that's how they base that, so that will fluctuate.
okay.
And the age of my equipment also kind of determines that. You know, I saw on my proposal that, you know, if I would update a few pieces of equipment, that my maintenance would actually go down a little bit.
Okay.
You know,
Maybe the next time we do buy something like that would be something we could ask the vendor, can we put our maintenance agreements inside of the quote for the hardware?
Okay,
And that way they can lock in the maintenance agreements across time instead of going up and
We
down.
do that with the sheriff's stuff.
We do
They
that?
have like a 5-year agreement or whatever, but I,
It may save us a little money,
okay. I'll certainly check.
because we really don't have much control over they can come back and say, we're doubling the maintenance agreement. But if you can lock it in on the front end, that's what I was trying to get at.
Okay,
Okay.
any other questions?
Any other questions?
Motion to approve.
Mr. Gregg? Mr. Norman, all in favor, say aye. Aye. Fred, thank you for all that you do.
Thank
Thank
you, I
you.
appreciate you.
Thanks for keeping a good, tight budget. Item number 5 is Ms. Westbrook's. Good morning.
Unfortunately, like last year, I wasn't able to keep mine. I'm gonna have to go up just a little bit if that's possible. You will see, like some of the others have said, some of our dues have gone up, my maintenance agreement has gone up. Of course, my maintenance agreement goes up every year. Post office box goes up every year, and postage is going up again July 1st. It keeps going up. My printer, the company, my print vendor, says that she's gonna have to go up 15%. Paper and all the products are all going up, and that's the reason for the increases that I have. I did take, some money out of my surety bonds. I have to keep that line item because of course, I'm not gonna need it. But that's the reason I left some in there, but I took out what I could. And the maintenance agreements, I would really like, I don't know, and I may be talking out of place. I'm wondering if we had an IT person for the county offices, would that help or not on our maintenance agreements? I have to rely on these companies to take care of my hardware and my software. And I can't have them coming in and saying, well, you bought this at Walmart, so I'm not gonna work on it, you know? I'm just throwing that out there.
It's been-
I know that the reason that all of our maintenance agreements keep going up is because we rely on them to keep us going.
I know this has been talked about for quite a while now, but how much, so we're just talking to Ms. Cheryl about the maintenance agreements. And in those maintenance agreements is you actually have some capital purchases with the server too, right?
Right.
And so, but then you take off the maintenance that you hire somebody to do. So how much would an IT person actually save out of this maintenance agreement if you were to take the hardware
I
that you,
have
the
no
capital
idea.
purchase
I
off of?
didn't even plan on saying that, I'm just throwing it out there.
No, that's fine.
I'm not an IT person.
I think in Cheryl's, there was no capital in it. That's just her
Oh,
part
okay.
of it each year. That, she didn't get anything this year
Okay,
for
alright.
her amount. She just gets the service and somebody, she can call and say, hey, I got a problem. That's what she gets. She didn't get a server or anything. Server was bought last year, right?
Right.
Yeah.
I'm with you. Okay.
So it really adds up. Your department, everybody's got these maintenance agreements.
And they're all
If
different.
you have a piece of equipment, I don't even think that's on, if you have a piece of equipment and you buy it, I think it's 6 months, that it's actually free, it's, but then after that, it goes back on the books. So if you have to buy, equipment, not just the server, we have to have all our stations,
Yeah.
So
and so that's the difference in going up and down.
these
It seems like overall, mine always seem to go up.
these maintenance agreements though, are they for specialized things? Or could it, if we hired an IT person, could they work in Cheryl's and then you're,
Could it get in my server? No.
So-
A maintenance person would not help reduce cost of mine at all.
Oh, really?
They are very proprietary with that software and I mean, it is so reliable.
Yeah.
We never go down and
Yeah,
we don't want anybody working on ours.
yeah.
We like it just like we have it
well, then
is.
that's just the encouraged cost that we're gonna have.
It is.
Yeah.
It's just part of doing business, but we can't have you going down, any of you really going down because it's,
Right.
Mm-hmm.
so it's the incurred cost, we're just gonna have
Well,
to.
I knew that we'd have to have some on the software, I didn't know about the hardware.
Okay.
That's why I said I
Yeah,
don't know.
yeah, that's why I was just curious, I didn't know.
Sorry, I
Oh,
didn't
no.
mean to bring that up.
No,
Oh,
that's good.
it's all right, it's good to explore ideas, we wanna try to find any savings we can. If you don't talk about it, we don't know.
Do you all have any questions for me? And I will say this, my staff, we have gotten on the phone and called, gone on Facebook and trying to help with the postage. Postage is unreal. When we're sending stuff out, it's not going where it's supposed to. It's coming back to our office and we're sending it out again, or sending the exact address that we sent it before because the post office says it was correct. But we got it back, so we're having to pay for postage again. And I've gotten letters, in the last couple months that are like 3 years old. And it's like, where have they been sitting?
As the world
So
moves,
we
as the world moves into a digital era, is there any way that you could alleviate some postal charges by
I'm
using
trying.
email or something like that? Or are you required by state law to actually put it in the,
No, that is
mailbox.
something that is being discussed with the trustees. We discussed it at our conference.
Yeah.
It's going to take years. We're working with our software vendors to see if they can put a place where we can put email addresses, phone numbers. See, right now, we don't have anywhere to put phone numbers in there. So when we get ready to call somebody, we're going on Facebook,
Oh, my.
or we're literally on our phones at work, looking on Facebook, sending messages and calling people, especially when we do personal property, trying to get them in to pay a $10 tax or $20 tax or whatever, trying to keep from having, we are doing what we're trying to do, but trustees know that it's a problem and we are discussing it. If we can get where we can start, collecting emails for people, and, then my print vendor is also, but it's gonna take a few years before, you've gotta have some data before they can send out an email.
Tracy, when y'all go to those state conferences for trustees and the other departments go to their conferences, is there anybody on behalf of the state that is looking at the other 49 states at their best practices, like ways to innovate or save money, or you have somebody in the state of Tennessee that's like the head trustee that on behalf of your team?
We have, all trustees from across the county are invited. We have, usually when we do it, we have CTAS there, we have the state there, any of the offices that will come, comptroller's office and stuff, and we have a lot of discussions, we have legislative discussions,
And, yes, we're always, that's what we're going for, is to see ways to make things better.
I just didn't know if those, officials at the higher level actually reach across the state lines and say, hey, are y'all doing something better than we are? So you can learn, y'all are, okay. You hear, okay, that's cool.
We have an organization called the PRIA, P-R-I-A, and it is, recorders across the country
Okay, cool.
who meet, you know, I think the meeting is at Virginia Beach this year and one in Washington, and we talked about sending someone to one or the other. Obviously, the one that's closer would be better, but, best practices, like you
Okay.
said.
Well, that's just letting the taxpayers know that all of the department heads are looking on a bigger scale, how can we help and save money or be more efficient? So I appreciate that, that's good.
We have a company, organization also that's NACTVO. Now, I don't go to any of the meetings or whatever, because they're all over the country, so I do not, but we get reports, we do have a trustee that's part of that. And I have decided a couple years ago, I, started going to NAPTA, and that crosses state lines also. So I start going, and it's usually in Nashville, but I started doing that.
Typically, if you can bring back one good idea, you pay for your trip, so I
Yes.
think that's great. Yeah.
Well, the NAPTA, if you, it's $200 is what it is for me to be, you know, a member, and I don't have to pay anything to go to the meeting,
Wow.
so it's worth going to.
I don't wanna go off in the weeds here, but, I made a comment at a couple budget hearings ago, to our fire chief about how we need to rethink our fire protection. Do you know, I know that there's a couple of counties that automatically tack on the fire protection fee in the property tax. Can you?
I do not know anything about it, I do know that they do.
Yeah, I think it's just a fire tax, I think you enact.
Fire tax and
Yeah.
then,
It's like a school
but
tax.
then nobody has to mess with fire protection, but I'd like to know some details about it, like if they're mandated to pay that fire tax and things like that, but it's just how it's done in other counties, but
Okay,
I think we need
do
to
you,
rethink how this
I know
fire
there are a
protection
couple,
is
do
done.
you happen to know of some that do? I mean, I'll reach
got-
out
I
to
think
them.
I think Dyer County has a fire tax, because nobody down there pays fire protection.
Bob Revis, I know, he knows a good bit about it. Bob Revis, I'll reach out to him, yeah.
Okay,
And you can report back to us whenever you get information, and we'll listen to it anytime, and then we can.
Yeah.
Make action on it, please.
Because the issues that have been brought to me is, you know, I own a 100-acre farm and I pay one fire protection fee for it. And then somebody may have 3 parcels in town or wherever, and they're all side by side and 1-acre parcels, but they have to pay a fire protection fee for each parcel. And that's,
and it would have to be the same if I collected it,
okay,
because it would have to be
right,
all
because you're paying per parcel, right?
Mhm.
Yeah.
But I think you can draw districts, fire districts, and charge different rates, I believe. When we looked at it and we talked about it at the fire chiefs meeting once, I believe that's the way it works. So you have fire districts and they can have different rates, kind of like your inside, outside for cities.
Right, I'm sorry, I
Oh,
don't
yeah.
know more about that. But
Like
I
I
do
said, I didn't
know,
wanna get off in the weeds at this point.
I do know that we can collect, you know, all the ins and outs, I don't know.
Any more questions from Ms. Tracy? Motion to approve our budget.
Motion.
Mr. Holman, second, ma'am. All in favor, say aye. Very good, thank you.
Thank you, and I know we're not supposed to say anything, or we're not supposed to put it in our budget, but I would like for you all to remember our employees. You know, we can't do it without them, they're dedicated, and they're the ones that make the county run. Thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Judy, property assessor.
Basically, I've just had an increase, it's because of the mandated official salary and then the membership dues. I've been in office since 2016, we've had the same membership dues since then, but they're going up. And I must say, I have a very good representative that takes care of us in Nashville. He's up there on it all the time, so. And he gives us a lot of that information that y'all were asking about, on different, states and we have a really good one. And that's what a lot of this membership, we pay for that, so. It's very good. Very,
Will Denami,
it's real dynamic.
Yeah,
He's
I like
very,
Will.
he's very good. Yeah,
He's
he's
good.
on it. He lives it. He's very good. But, yeah. And like Tracy, I'd like to see my employees get a raise, cause it's been a good, two of my, what we make do with what we have, we could have more, and I'd love to have a part-time person. The training is just not, it's takes a year to get somebody trained to just do a little bit. And we made it through. Two of mine had major surgeries this year, and one of us, fell off the bed and hit their head, had to get 19 staples in their head, so, but she's okay, so, but they all, I mean, it was a tough year for us, but we did good, so.
Mandated raise this year is 3% for all elected officials, right? Three? Okay. What was it last year? 5. What was the year before that?
How much of that does the county pay and the state pay?
We pay.
We pay
Yeah.
100%
Yeah.
of the 3% increase?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's like mandated, we don't get,
But their fee office, well, the fee offices, we collect a portion, the state gets a portion too, right, on your fee offices? And then we get to collect a portion, so it supposedly funds everything.
James, who in Nashville makes that decision about how much those mandated raises are? Is it the state legislature?
Yeah,
Legislature.
yeah.
What, do they set their raise and all everybody else gets the same thing they get?
So somebody just stands up and say, hey, I think we deserve 3% this year?
Yeah.
Or 5%? Nothing against you, I just
I
was
know.
wondering how those, it's 5%, it's 5%, it's 3%. And then when we try to give the county employees something, it could be 2% or just a one-time stipend or whatever. It's like, there's no consistency there. But it's kind of like the school system, like, we're mandating you do X and we're not gonna fund it, but I guess that's just our
Unfunded mandates.
government.
I know. Well, I try to treat this money like it's mine, and my husband can tell you that I don't like to turn loose of it very much. Well, but this year I've been hit, my 10-year copier is getting replaced, but it's out of this year's budget. And then we have a mapping computer that's, been sent out emergency to be fixed. Hopefully, it'll hold for a little bit, but it was a fire hazard there for one day, so, but we'll probably have to have that replaced, but I'm trying to get it through next year's budget.
I personally think, based on looking at your budgets, each one of the department heads are doing an excellent job of managing their budget. You know, cutting when you can. Typically, if you ever say, hey, I need something, you also look for another way to save something.
Yeah.
So the budget committee really appreciates that and the scrutiny that you look into your budgets and try to save and for the taxpayers. And hopefully the taxpayers see that as well. When we not have to increase your budget, but you're laser focused on that, so we appreciate that. Motion to approve our budget.
Motion.
Commissioner Gray? Roberts, all in favor, say aye. Very good, thank you.
Thank you.
How many years is it until next year appraisal? Just three more years?
2028,
2028.
yeah, but we work on it year round.
Board of Equalization
Yeah,
is the same.
it's the same. Fortunately, we haven't had many people coming in, and we're able to work them all in one day. We may be there starting 9 o'clock till 4:30, but, we give them 30 minutes, and, we're working on that right now, and their training is pretty much online now. They used to go to Jackson, which personally, I would like for them to have to go back, because they get to interact with other boards of equalization and see what's going on in other counties, but since COVID, that's not an option that they've even offered to us, so that does save a little bit on money there, so. But I've got a good board, I do have a good board, so. And there are a variety of, knowledge, banker, insurance, realtor, business owners, yeah, so there are variety.
How many's on the board?
There are 5
5.
at the present, there's 5 of them.
Motion to approve, Commissioner Gray? Mr. Roberts, all in favor, say aye.
Thank
Very
you.
good.
Thank you.
Now we're jumping over to, Ms. Christmas, County Clerk.
my budget is, I reduced my staff by one member, so that's basically the biggest decrease.
Are you not replacing it?
No.
Okay.
Sorry,
Cause that was across the hall?
correct.
Okay.
The, trailer business is still doing pretty good. We're averaging 12 fingerprints a day. My one girl across the hall, she's managing it. Anything else?
I noticed yesterday I was driving through town and looking at the drive-through and there were 3 cars in line. So that's working.
Yes, sir. Most
As a matter of
definitely.
convenience for
Most
the
definitely.
taxpayers, that was a good idea on y'all's part, so.
What kind of income do you get on the fingerprint?
$4 a print.
Okay, so $48 a day?
I always like to remind you guys that my office has reserve accounts. The money's earmarked for specific, expenses. So I have 5 reserve accounts, so Harley and I work together at the end of the budget year to figure out which money can come out of those reserves. So you know, we always have to budget things, so a lot of these things will be paid for out of those reserve accounts.
So you cut almost 30,000 and a portion of that's not gonna come out of the general fund
Correct.
to fund.
Correct.
It's amazing.
Yeah, you see, I did have to increase postage, but just like the other lady said, we did have legislation this year. I was losing money on mailing a license plate, but our legislation passed. So, those mailing fees will be increased
Okay.
July 1, so,
So is that just what you collect from when you buy a plate?
if we mail a license plate July 1, we can charge $7
Okay.
and $3 to mail you a renewal sticker.
Okay.
So things like that are mandated.
Yeah.
And I can only charge so much.
Could you charge anything before?
Oh, yeah, we were
Okay.
charging $5 and
Okay,
$2.
so you just increased to keep up with postage? Okay,
Yeah.
yeah.
So is that pretty easy to get a change made like that? I guess the legislature has to vote on that as well, like
Correct, correct.
your group of,
Yes, all of us pay dues into County Officials Association, and I'm actually on the board. I think this is my 4th year, and we have a lobbyist, and,
that's good.
Yeah,
Good.
yeah.
Another way to
we
say
could
it.
use you guys lobbyists for some more help, for getting some more funding back from the Department of Revenue. For instance, ever since I've been in office, we're paid $250 a month to scan everything that I do for them. I could see that increasing. It's just, we can't go every year asking for money.
Yeah,
Gotta give it a break sometimes, so.
yeah, it's gotta come
Use
from
y'all's
the.
help on those
Yeah.
type things.
Any additional questions from Mr.
Just a statement. I'm the Vice President of Governmental Affairs for TCCA, so if you see bills that y'all maybe aren't gonna lobby for, but would benefit y'all, and that goes for everybody, send me that, and then we can, of course, we have a priority list, but we can
Exactly.
try to add it in case it flies under our radar.
Yeah, okay. And on the maintenance, I'm just gonna reiterate what Charlotte and everyone says. It's pricey, but we pick up the phone, they're fixing it for me. The decal printer goes down, that's what we do all day, most of it, so, mine is 31,000, it's worth that to me, because I pick up the phone, and usually they send someone immediately out. So, and just, there's so many firewalls, technology people, like, an IT person couldn't even get into my computer.
Yeah.
Cause it's linked to the state and TVI and all that stuff, so.
You got there's a records fund also, right? Do we have a budget for the records?
Preservation of records.
Preservation of records,
Usually
yeah.
$60,000 is what's in it. I haven't looked at this
Is there a
year's
budget
budget.
for that, or is that just a fund?
We have a budget, preservation of records.
Oh,
We
okay.
put 60,000 in there usually every year.
Oh, okay, alright,
While we're talking about records, what is the status of the records
yeah,
building thing?
that's kind of where I was,
They're getting
Going
the deed
towards.
prepared, he's getting his final stuff moved out, and, getting close to being able to,
So maybe sometime this summer we'll take possession, I guess?
yeah, I would think within the next month, yeah.
Okay.
how much money do we have in that account?
I'll look, I don't
Yeah, I'm
know,
not
if
sure.
paid for the records building out, I'm not sure.
Okay.
Right off the top of my head.
So, I
'Cause
charge
you
$2
you
for
kinda
almost,
oversee that, don't you?
I tried one time
Oh,
last
okay,
year.
oh, okay,
Now-
I
sorry,
get
I guess that's
$2 for like,
confusing.
usually everything that I record in the office, I get $2
And
for.
Emily
I got you.
and Miss Denise are now collecting money for that account as well.
Yeah, right,
So-
yeah,
It's going to grow.
cool.
That is one fee that I can increase. I was just waiting until we had a plan in place.
Yeah.
And now that we have something moving, that is something that I can increase, cause Steve asked me if I had everything maxed out, so to speak, so. I'll be coming to that once we get everything going with the records building.
Just kind of thinking about the records building, do we have, I know we bought the building, have we looked into how we're going to store things? I know like Emily's got those fancy, she's not here anymore, is she? Okay, she has those fancy sliding filing cabinets and everything.
We haven't discussed, we're just,
Okay.
that building is cram-packed
Yeah.
full of his stuff, so
Okay.
we needed better visual after we cleaned it
Gotcha.
out.
Okay, all right, but we can, whatever, like if we buy some of those cabinets, we can pay out of that fund, that
Reservation,
reserve
yes,
account.
yes.
Okay, yeah, all right, that's all.
Is part of that plan is to move stuff off the top floor?
Yeah, because of the weight.
All of it or some of it or?
A lot of it's gonna come out.
I'll move all of my stuff except for the stuff that I can throw away every 5 years.
As much as possible.
Yeah, Crystal took me up there.
It's
It's a
a
lot.
lot of something.
It's a lot of weight up there.
Motion.
Commissioner Gray has a motion. Commissioner Roberts has a second. All in favor, say aye. Thank you, Commissioner Lee. Thanks for your team.
Beer board.
Thank you, I'm gonna do beer board.
Let's do beer.
Secretary of beer board. Luckily, we didn't meet this past fiscal year, so I left everything the same.
Motion to approve the beer board.
So moved.
Commissioner,
Thank you.
you get the first and
I'll
second.
take the second.
Okay, you're. Working on there. All in favor, say aye. Item 10 is nursing home, Ms. Childers.
Good morning.
Hey,
Morning.
Okay, so, I presented my budget, this is based on a census of 50. Last year was a major year of transition, we had a lot of things to work out, and I feel like this is going in a better direction this year. We have cut the budget, on our liability insurance, our workman's comp, we've got better quotes. I think we had kept the same companies for years and nobody ever researched getting different quotes, so we've cut a lot of areas.
so I have a couple questions.
Okay.
So, and I think you've explained this to me before, the bad debt, is that patient debt or like things Medicare, Medicaid, or insurance didn't pay? Can you elaborate? I
Yes,
know the auditors require you to write it off, so.
they do, and it's been a tough year. And my last year, I took write-offs for about 5+ years,
Yeah.
so.
Yeah, it was close to $500,000 or maybe a little more.
Yes,
Yeah.
so that wasn't all on this previous year. Unfortunately, it just didn't get wrote off in the past.
Yeah,
So, bad debt includes things that insurance doesn't cover,
Okay.
like Medicare has an allowable, and then Medicaid oftentimes doesn't
Yeah.
pay secondary, so that is a bad debt write-off.
Okay,
There are several different kinds of bad debt write-offs, some of it we can recoup.
okay,
So I did not turn any bad debt in on the audit last year. As far as Medicare, Medicaid, we will get 65% of that back.
okay,
So it will be counted on this year.
okay.
And then there's just bad debt where Medicaid pending patients may pass away.
Okay.
That's, you're always gonna have
Yeah.
write-offs.
Yeah, and yeah, I wasn't trying to.
Oh,
you
no,
know,
no.
Just wanted to make sure I understood it. I thought I did, but I wasn't 100% positive.
But I think we've made a lot of budget cuts, canceled a lot of unnecessary contracts we had,
Yeah.
things of that nature, so I feel like this is gonna be a much better year.
Yeah.
the revenues being ahead of your expenses is always a good thing.
Yeah.
So,
Yes, and we have in healthcare, it's a quilts program for the nursing homes. So if you meet certain criteria, standard-wise, you have 3 tiers. Last year, we were in tier 2, and this year, we're in tier 1, which is the highest pay. So we'll get an increase in pay in July, and then again in December.
Is that a Medicaid pay, or is that all insurances? How does that, is that?
It is Medicaid.
Okay, yeah.
historically, the nursing home has always been a revenue generator.
Yes.
So much in the, Ralph's been around for a long time, Terry's been around a long time, that those big capital projects, they just had the money just to do it.
Yeah.
So hopefully, now that y'all got your hands around it again, y'all can generate the revenues to do that
Like
without
we can.
doing the one-day notes, but, you know, if you have things, you gotta let us know, but, I appreciate you going in the right direction, and y'all taking control of that.
Am I overlooking it, or, is there a fund balance on here, or can you tell me what your, around where your fund balance may be?
Well, we are sitting probably around 500,000, but we also have money in the bad debt accrual that we're accruing every month and
Okay.
hopefully won't use.
Yeah.
But it's there just in case we need it.
So you got 500,000 cash on hand, pretty much?
Correct.
Okay.
Line 210113, TCRS retirement, actual in 23-24 was 94,800. Your estimated this year is only 9,600 and your budget is 9,600. How can that go down so much to retirement?
Find your line
It's
here.
about midway on the first page there.
Yeah, it's under expenditures 210113.
That's significant.
This is how much the facility actually pays out. So I did not do this 23-24 budget, but that 9,600 or
Yeah.
9,600 is actually what the facility pays out. And then the, employees half is not in this,
Okay.
but I'll look into that. I'll look
This is
into,
about $85,000 cut.
yeah, that's huge.
Because it's like 4%, so it's a quick.
Do you have any capital projects going on this year or anything?
We have been working on our ramp out front. We just had it redone. We are going to do the roof next, so it's in process.
Did you finish your bathroom project?
We did finish our bathroom last year.
Okay.
So it was from ground up, so we also have another bathroom on the list.
The miscellaneous income, is that from the farm bill?
That is from, Medicaid. They will send us, checks every so often. They've been doing that since COVID. But it's from 3 groups of Medicaid: Blue Care, AmeriGroup, and AmeriChoice.
Do they get part of the revenue from the farm or not? That's the
No.
county, okay, I wasn't sure.
We don't.
Okay.
I think we did in the past, we do not now.
Yeah, we changed it when I first came on, or maybe right before then, I wanna think.
Yeah, need a motion to approve the nursing home.
Motion.
Mr. Mayo, all in favor, say aye. Thank you.
Thank
I'd like to say one thing.
Yes, sir.
I'd spent 5 days out there here a while back, between the hospital and going to Cane Creek. My one for insurance, but anyway, I spent 5 days out there, and I was treated real good, and they run a real good ship out there. I mean, it was clean, and if I needed anything, they was right there. They take care of you out there. I just want,
Did you get a cinnamon roll while you were out there? That's,
you know, I
How
don't
many
know.
women did you hug while you was there?
Well, I tried to get all I could, well, you know.
Well, that's good. I was keep up the good work.
Yeah, but they're really good out there. They really
Thank
treat
you
you
very
good.
much. I would just like to say on that note, We have 3 nursing homes in town, but the county, one thing we definitely do is a lot of places will turn patients down due to medication expenses. If they're not, you know, if they're gonna have to pay out too much money. We don't do that, because if we did, they wouldn't have anywhere to go. I mean, so we're gonna lose a little, but in the long run,
Yeah.
you know, it helps the people, so.
Yeah, I was turned down because of medication.
I know, I wasn't gonna say that. But you just brought that to mind.
Yeah,
Yeah, we did.
it wasn't, it was the administrator that
Okay.
done that.
But we don't do that at our facility, because where would you go? I mean,
What kind of medication was it, Viagra?
Well, that one is the most expensive one, but I mean,
Did we vote on this?
I mean.
I made a motion, I don't know if we
Wait a
voted or
second.
not,
Let's
Ralph
vote
got me
again.
sidetracked.
he
made a motion, I made a second.
Okay.
All right, all in favor, say aye.
All right. Mayor Carr.
You got something going on here.
I make a motion, we don't approve.
Second.
You know, we're here, okay. It also might be good just to note, I know everybody's aware of this, but our Obion County Nursing Home operates without receiving any funding from county tax dollars at all. And so they continue to do a great job of, taking care of business there without receiving any funds from the county taxpayers. So we appreciate that very much. Like our other officials, we have, sought to hold the line on any spending, and so we decreased where we could, and, the only thing that you're gonna see in there as far as the slight increase is because of the mandated salary raise for the official, and the maintenance agreement went up about $1,500, and so we've kept everything almost the same as it was. And, of course, in my office, we also have the office of the purchasing director and finance director for the county, so all that's covered here in our operation.
Motion to approve.
Commissioner Gray,
Second.
Commissioner Mayo, all in favor, say aye. That was quick.
Thank you.
You're gonna do the county commission as well?
Yeah, we do these two too. As you can see on this one, we were able to actually, decrease, what we project as far as, needs for the next year, so we were able to decrease the budget line item there for that. So, anybody have any questions?
Was part of that going down from 12 meetings to, what, 10 meetings now a year?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, that's part of it.
Looks like you cut some postage, so not mailing.
Yeah.
Yeah, cause I don't need a packet mailed as long as y'all email it.
Any more questions about the commission?
Who will approve it?
Commissioner Bucket?
Second. Or yeah, Terry.
All in favor, say aye. Item 13 is the county coroner medical examiner.
Yeah, once again, we looked at where we are as far as expenses, we were able to, cut a little bit more there, so we reduced the ask again for next year, so we reduced that one as well.
So I have a question. This doesn't include, or this has transportation. Is this for the rescue squad takes for?
It's for,
autopsies?
when we have to have bodies
Yeah.
transported for all time.
Okay, so that's what I was thinking. And the rescue squad's still helping with that?
That they have, and sometimes they haven't, so
Okay.
that's something we'll be looking into.
But when they do, they get paid from this.
Yes,
Okay.
they do. They get paid.
If they don't, who else does that?
Well, I'll just give you the freshest example, I guess.
All right.
The night before last, the chief of police of Union City and I were on the phone about between 10:30 and 11, trying to work out getting the body transported because of a tragedy here in Union City. And the rescue squad would not transport. And so we were able, after a long time, the medical examiner in Nashville actually agreed to come here and get the body and take it back for us. That's what we had to do.
So
How
we
much
need
did
another,
that
we need
cost?
another plan then.
Yes, we're gonna get it. We're
Is
gonna
there-
develop a plan.
That opened up, shed a light on the situation then.
Yeah.
Okay.
Is that something I mean, it might have to increase the budget eventually, but is that something we could work out with Baptist? I mean, they have
Well,
ambulances.
we're looking at some options, so I won't, I
Okay.
couldn't, it's preliminary, it'd be premature to say today because we
Yeah.
just, realized that we're gonna have to do something, but.
Is it something that you would
we're
have to
going
bid out for services?
We're gonna find a way to do this because it has to be done, and so.
I mean, could your funeral homes do
That's
that?
what I
Yeah,
was
that's
gonna
one
say.
option I'm
Yeah.
looking at there.
Yeah.
See if we can work out the funeral home and we may be able to contract him with the individual to do it, but that's something we gotta do.
I mean, it's a service we gotta have.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you just throw them in your vehicle and tear them down
You can ride with me, okay?
there? Just let me know when it is, and I'll have something else.
All right. Good questions, good comments there. Motion to approve this. Mr. Puckett, I had, Mr. Elligood had his hand up a
Okay,
second.
go.
All in favor, say aye.
Uh,
What was the other equipment that was purchased? There's other equipment in here, $3,200.
Body bags.
Okay.
Yeah.
Danny bought a bunch last year, so we shouldn't need as many, but.
Okay.
Other boards and committees?
Okay, on that one, once again, we kind of looked at, where we were as far as spending wise, and we shaved some off of that too, so we reduced that one down, so. We tried to check everywhere we could be as efficient as we can.
Motion to approve.
Oh,
Mr. Puckett,
right.
Mr. Roberts, all in favor, say aye.
Uh,
Budget and Finance Committee?
Of course, this one again, do reflect some savings as far as what we projected, so, we reduced that one as well.
Going down by 2,000. Motion to approve.
Motion.
Second.
Mayo, Commissioner Evans. Gray, all in favor, say aye.
uh,
That takes care of all mine that I didn't share. I do just want to say as mayor that I appreciate all of our county officials and the good work that they're doing. And, they continue to help us to be efficient in our operations. Everyone, all of our departments with the courthouse and, even with the highway department, sheriff department, everybody works together to, try to hold line on spending and try to make sure that the taxpayers are being served to the best way possible, the most efficient way possible. And as you see in our budgets this year, very clearly reflected that we tried to make any cuts where we could, it's decreases for any obligations to taxpayers. And so we take that seriously, and everybody runs a very efficient, they would say a well-oiled machine kind of operation. I'm very thankful for all of our officials and all the good work that they do and all our departments.
Thank you.
Yes, sir. Thank you. Do you have any other questions? Okay. Thank you.
It's, Leah, the Election Commission.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Okay, so mine's pretty simple. This year I just have one election on this budget year. So my cost has decreased a little bit, not as much as I'd like, because like everybody else, my maintenance payments have gone up. Let's see, I kind of just went up a little bit where I was going over on this year's budget. I just increased it a little bit. Freight expenses, I went up for janitorial because I would like to get Barbara a raise for cleaning the office, and I think for pest control, we're kind of at the full, we're about to go over on that line item, so I bumped it up $100 there, and just the items that basically were just costing more. So, the only thing is, I haven't received any official information from the state, but I think we're gonna be getting reimbursed. They passed a law legislatively to pay for county primary
That's
elections.
correct, that's correct.
Okay, so I haven't gotten official word.
At least one round of them.
Right, so I don't know, but anyway, hopefully whatever we pay out for the election will come back to us this
Yeah,
year.
the state legislature all add in, saw fit to take away our ability to have a caucus.
Yeah.
So we will be having a Republican primary in May of 2026, and I'm
I'm
sure the
glad you said
Democrats
it.
probably will too.
wasn't necessarily thrilled, I mean, the money comes with strings, kind of, sort of, but anyway, but we get it back, so.
I got a question on years that there is not an election year. That there is not an election. What all does your office do? Cause what's the day-to-day duties?
Well, like right now, we always have to do what's called list maintenance, which we go through and, oh, gosh, well, now they're collecting like data from Expedia and credit reports and stuff, and we have to match records to see who's living here and who's not, so, like, we're working on a huge mailing that's about to go out in about a week or so, just because people move, they don't tell us, you know, and so we try to keep it as current as possible, so if we get information from somebody else that they've moved, you know, we have to send a letter just basically asking if it's a huge postage expense because we're legally required by law to do it. But it puts them on inactive status if we get indication, if the letter comes back and they've moved or whatever, and then they'll roll off the rolls. So it's a lot of list maintenance. I mean, looks like we're doing nothing, but we are actually tracking records and, filing all that. And then I have to go through and, you know, we have to go and shred old elections, and we pull out all the petitions and have to box everything up from the previous elections that we just had and retain them for 7 years and everything like everybody else. But, you know, it's just a lot of paperwork and shuffling and stuff like that, but we're doing that. And then I'll send a letter out for primaries here in about another month or so to the counties, you know, the Democratic Party and the Republican Party, and giving them the deadlines that they have to notify me, which I guess they'll have a primary.
I think it's August.
Yeah, the deadline. So I usually try to send my letter out in June to give them enough time to get back to me and whatnot. And then we'll start working on the next one, you know. I mean, they'll start picking petitions up at the end of the year and we're going again.
You mentioned you have to keep records for 7 years. Now with the transition to the paper ballots, do you have to keep those paper ballots for 7 years? And do you have storage?
We would love to get into the other building. So we
Well,
could
that's what I was kind of
unpack to the
wondering.
guild, and yes, it takes so much to store those ballots, that's why. Anyway, it is what it is, we have to store the ballots, and so we keep the ballots. If they ever got recounted or anything was contested, and it's just state law, we have to keep it.
Are they required to be kept any certain way? I know, like, you know, Cheryl's got requirements, she has to have a vault and things like that.
Not really, that's where I think the state has kind of fallen short on that with us. I mean, I've got them sealed up
Yeah,
and
of course.
stuff, you know, but we do an audit afterwards. We're required by state law. Well, that was kind of like, there's 3 different audits. There's a performance audit, there's a, one where you rescan every ballot to make sure that there's no variation from, you know, less than 0.1% variance, and, which luckily we've always come out. I was a little stressed about that, but I kind of find there's state laws, which I'm like, you're making us clear out machines that we used in election to reset them before we've certified the election, which makes no sense to me, so, but I don't really have a say on what the law says on how we audit those ballots, but I think they could improve some of the audit process, but we are required to keep them, and I just seal them up, and they're just back in ballot bags that we've got sealed, and I've got the numbers recorded, and the commission has signed off on it, you know, the Republicans and Democrats, but honestly, the state has kind of been very lax on giving us specific instructions on how to handle that. So they're just in my office because I don't want to put ballots off-site anywhere. If I do, they're gonna have to have cameras or something, and, you know, they did give us a security grant for like, computers and stuff, which we've done, and kind of got that in place, but I don't know, I'm still working on it, and we're just filled up with paper because we do have to keep all those ballots.
We're gonna have room for you.
Good. By the next election cycle, I hope, so, which is in May of 20.
How's the condition of your building? Any improvements you need to make over there, or?
Well, we ripped up carpet and kind of put down laminate flooring throughout. We've got carpet still in the office areas, but like in the early voting and where in the entrance, we put in new doors in that I think OSHA kind of required, which actually I love. It's kind of like what, I guess there's just the big, glass doors, but they're, I don't know, they tinted them so we can see out, but they can't really see in, I guess, so that's nice, because I was worried that the voters would just be standing there waiting, staring at us until we open the door, but, I don't know, I've kind of, like I said, I mean, I don't know if I need to I don't really want cameras in certain areas of the building, but, we might need to do some of that since we have to retain ballots and all the machines and stuff like that, so, and I'll always keep the machines in my office if I can, because I don't want those really going off-site, but.
With your roof, your heating and air, no leaks, no?
I think
more
we're
grates?
okay, because no, we don't have any leaks.
Bathrooms are current?
Well, yes, we might have a toilet that needs to be replaced.
Okay, I mean,
but-
it's like, I was looking at bigger projects.
Yeah, no, I think we're okay right now. They just came and, we had to put our electric box on the inside for security reasons, so, clearly, they didn't want anybody to come cut the power lines while we're having an election. I didn't even think of that. They were like, we have never seen somebody with a power box on the outside of and I was like, oh. So Craig McManus, they put the pole out front and they ran they rewired everything, and so it's on the inside now, so I think we're current on that. I
When
mean,
you say the power box, you mean like the meter or the breaker?
the breakers,
Oh,
like the breaker box.
They were outside?
It was on the
Crazy.
outside. I
What?
mean, yeah, they were like,
It's like
oh, this can't happen.
1930s, 40s.
Yeah, really.
You had to go back outside and around the house.
Yeah, no, I mean, it was, they were like, we have never seen this before. I'm like, well, it's kind of an old building that's been repurposed, but
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I lived in one when I was a kid, but man,
Yeah.
it's been a minute.
Motion to approve.
Whoa.
Mr. Bucket? Mr. Roberts, all in favor, say aye.
Well, we asked about her building, what about the courthouse?
We'll see if our windows leak after this rain. We have, we still have a problem with some fires, and unfortunately, it's right where we have our big map and, printer. So if we know it's coming a big rain, we know the thing, we covered up, we got plastic, we covered up in our magnet computer. If it comes through that window, sometimes it splashes, but.
Didn't we have plans to
Your
put
leaks
new
are through the
windows out
windows?
there?
Aren't the windows kind of deep?
Well, not anymore.
Well, okay, one time they were deep.
They've always been an issue. Those windows have always been an issue. We can't just raise those windows and then put them down because the top slides down.
Yeah.
So we would, to do that, would take two to close it. One has to climb up on the ledge and push it up, while another one's pulling it down and you have to lock it. So we can't open our windows.
How long ago we put windows in there?
I'm sorry.
How long ago did we put the
It
windows?
was several years.
I remember, but I just don't remember how.
Over 20, I'd
Yeah, it's
say.
been
Way
over 20? Oh,
Way over 20, I'd say.
for some reason I thought we had plans on putting windows in that courthouse.
CJ looked at it, he said in my office, it's actually part of the building and the way the building and the window meet.
Yeah.
And he said that a new window would not fix the issue.
There's gotta be some structural change around the window.
We should
And I
not,
like the old windows, you just open them and you pushed it open, and you didn't have a screen, but hey, you could open them, pull them back, and,
did you have water come through back then?
well, if you open the window, yeah, cause there was
No, I'm
just,
not, I'm saying like
it
with
was
the
just
flow.
air. Well, no, we didn't,
So when we changed the windows, when we started having the leaks.
and it's always up from the top. The top is where it always leaks
So that was
from,
a
where
kind of,
it goes attached to the.
Does anybody remember who put those in?
I'm wanting to think, Darryl Bryant, I'm thinking, I'm thinking that's who it was.
Sometimes when a building's designed a certain way, they have windows designed for that building, and then we change it because you think it's gonna be better. They didn't take into the engineering how it's gonna come down the building and stuff like that, so that's probably what happened.
Yeah.
Is anybody researching any grants or anything?
Bid on new windows, ain't they?
Mhm.
According to Steve.
Yeah, I think they, and then CJ looked to decide if he thought, like, as Cheryl said, the new windows that wasn't gonna solve her problem, I don't know about the rest of them. And I don't know about what he thought about Judy's, I don't know what he said, but.
When I was working on it, it's only our floor that leaks. And in between, if you notice, there's those black square decorative pieces
That
in
need to be
between the
painted.
floors that need to be painted. It's something about the water's going behind that and the way it's running down the wall or whatever.
So
So
would
it's just our floor, it's not,
the courthouse committee be in charge of trying to come to us and say we need to do something, or?
Good luck
we
getting them
worked on it,
together.
but we were waiting on CJ to
Okay.
for him to get going, and we haven't really discussed it since then.
Water running in the building's not good, could be getting somewhere we don't even know about.
I'm just saying it's gonna be very expensive.
Well, I tell you what, we've come up with a solution. If you've got a adult pad that you use for elderly when they have bathroom issues, that's what we put in the window. And it absorbs a lot of that water as it comes down and keeps it from bouncing.
So this morning, we had a really strong rain.
We'll go see what it did. And we keep, hey, we've got towels and everything to clean it up. We're prepared.
I mean, okay, in my opinion, it's really not much difference than what the library experienced, and they started getting mold and mildew and something like that, so we committed to fix that.
Mhm.
We need to, somebody needs to look at that, I guess the courthouse committee needs to come back with something when the time is right.
If it comes a big rain over the weekend, we usually come and check it, to see if it needs to be cleaned up and see, just to dry it up.
The last huge rain we had, we took the recycling bins that you could roll, took those upstairs to the 3rd floor and had those strategically placed where the leaks were coming in. I still have
So the
I
roof's
still
leaking
have
too?
some of
Oh,
those.
it's bad up there. I've got my little storage. It doesn't leak in my storage. It leaks across, but it runs down. It seems to end up right in the middle. I've got plastic totes in my storage to put old maps in that we have, just so it won't soak up the water.
Who's on the courthouse committee in this group?
Not me.
I am.
Dale is too.
Y'all,
When did we
y'all
change,
need to spearhead that.
when did we repair the roof?
Yeah.
Or
Steve's gonna be checking on
last?
the price of the window, but he ain't never gonna meet me
Goodrich?
anything for my
Steve,
part.
Steve Goodrich.
Goodrich. Who's vice chairman of that group?
Before John Castle died, he did a lot of work up
Yeah,
there.
I think
Remember who vice chair?
Great improvements.
I don't know who's my chair.
I'm not
can't
sure
remember.
where the water's coming from,
Yeah.
Mhm.
when we had to take those boats up there.
Yeah. We have a problem that needs to be addressed.
It was over on the
Sounds
female
like-
side.
There's always
We,
been
we,
problems.
yeah, there's always been, we've addressed them several times and we just ain't never got no responses. I mean,
It's a lack of persistence.
yes.
Well, I'm just saying, if there's a big project like that, you use debt service to pay and we just do it.
That's
And we
lack
don't-
of communication and lack of persistence.
Can we,
You meet one time a year, you can't stay up to date on the,
I don't know.
as a
Might be,
budget,
but I'm just saying, we really gotta fix it.
well, yeah, that's what I was thinking, as a budget committee, can we just get somebody at the courthouse to get us estimates so we can at least be prepared for a one-day note? Cause I mean, we don't need water just,
Yeah.
I mean, I don't wanna overstep, y'all are on that board, but
no, that's fine.
what I'm hearing is.
No,
Well, it don't sound like they're doing anything,
Yeah.
so I guess
Exactly,
we need to do
that's
something.
exactly
So,
right. Let's-
What'd you need a motion for?
Sure, yeah, make a motion.
What
right?
was the motion gonna
To
do?
get,
Yeah, to get
the estimates,
bids
to get it
from
fixed?
somebody in the courthouse to get bids for roof and windows,
yeah,
Well, do
whatever
we,
it is.
well, do we need to make a priority list
or even, yeah,
and kind of?
or well, we can get bids on
Yeah,
both
bids
and
for all.
then also prioritize at the same time.
Let's just
Yeah.
move, let's make some action.
Yeah, let's get bids on both, and then we can prioritize which one's more important. And look at the amounts, it might be a scenario where,
It's no different than replacing roofs on schools, we have to do that.
yeah,
Mhm.
So, we got a lot of records and
I
a
guess
lot
we're
of
meeting
people.
again June the 5th.
yeah. So if we could, yeah, potentially have something, and then just try to add it to the one-day note.
Who's gonna take the lead on that?
I've already spoke to you in city class, so I'll reach back out to him.
Would you have a
For
roof
windows.
issue too, maybe?
We can,
You can ask CJ, he can
Yeah.
work on that for us.
We can double check.
All right. When do we meet again?
I mean, really need,
June
you know, a
first.
good commercial
Monday, June.
type person to work on this course.
June
You
second.
don't need some, you know, Joe Blow down the road, you know, to work on this thing, so.
All right, so you actually got a couple of weeks that you could report back to us and by June first or second. Somebody could give us some kind of ideas of what we got.
Mhm.
You thinking something, Hardy? What are you thinking?
I'm not gonna say it on camera.
Okay. All right, so we have a motion to get somebody to do
Just get bids.
bids and
then
a
we can
priority
evaluate.
list and report back to us June second.
Who's that somebody?
Who is that somebody?
Can we, Steve, may we ask CJ?
Yes,
Take care of that?
I think that'd be good. Yeah, that's why he's here and,
Yes, okay, yeah.
Do we need somebody on that committee?
We're not, we're gonna bypass the committee, they're not doing anything,
Yeah, we got somebody.
so it's just,
So the motion to have
I take a
CJ look
motion
at
to
it.
get some bids.
So
Second.
CJ should actually come back to this group and tell us.
Yeah.
Can we do that? I
Perfect.
don't know who CJ is, but
Yeah, the
he should be
maintenance.
the one.
He's great.
Yeah,
He's our
good.
maintenance guy.
Yeah.
Well, he used to work for the one who has a contract that did our central heat and air. He was in there quite often.
Okay, all right.
He's permanent.
Yeah.
Motion second?
Second.
And all in favor?
Uh,
All right, very good.
So who's gonna tell CJ?
What do we got left to hear?
Highway, sheriff. I've got 2 nonprofits still. The schools, I guess, will come back to us.
So do you wanna wait till the June second meeting we'll have a regular budget meeting and go right into budget hearings?
We can.
That way we're not tying up everybody. Minutes. I did one day.
I've got Denise, she couldn't be here today. Like veteran service, just some small ones.
I mean, when the budgets come in like these,
Yeah, it's even.
it's really nice that we go down to the lines and look, and
And it helps when they put their little cover letters.
your cover letters are really good. Yeah. Alright. Any other business? Oh, Mary, you had something to bring up?
I got a few things to thank you, mention this morning. It's good, is this the time to do it?
That'd be great.
I just wanted to go over a few things that seem to be at the forefront of our attention right now, and there's some questions being asked in light of the working on through the budget process and with the situation, we're trying to work with the school system about the budgeting process and to come up with a solution to all that's, you know, been going on about that and trying to make sure about the funding. And so there have been questions that have come up, and I think that it's only to be expected that people have questions about things, and sometimes they don't have the information that they need, so they can really know how to feel about something. I know if I don't have information on something, I don't really know how I feel about it, because I don't have enough information to know that. So I wanted just to mention a few things I think will be helpful to folks as they think about the situation and the funding and all that goes into that. And I want to just say, first, I commend our county commission and the budget committee for the hours that you put into this process every year. And I know particularly this year has been no exception, as there have been even additional time and hours spent in deliberations and considerations and meetings and trying to figure out the best thing to do. And I know from knowing all of you as I do, and I've known many of you for several years, that, like myself, we always try to keep in mind what's in the best interest of our constituents, the people of Obion County. We try to always make sure that we are, you know, determined to provide them the best, efficient service for their tax dollars. I think that's the key to always keep in mind. And so, saying that, just think about some of the questions and again, just to kind of where we are. Some of the questions have been asked about why that certain things were done and the way they were done, and of course, we have a process that we go by that the state determines a lot of it, and we have to go by state statute on the things and how we do things, and as far as our funding and how much we're funding, and so as far as the schools, and since that's been a situation that's been on the minds of a lot of people, I think it's good to go back over a few years and just reflect on what we have done and look at how we continue to try to do the best that we can, but for consistently for several years, and looking back as far as even 2011, 2012, we have continued to see an effort made on the part of the Obion County Commission to fund the Obion County school system with additional funds besides what was required by the state. And, you know, just for example, in 2011, 2012, we had an ADM of 3,716 students. And we had at that time, beginning fund balance of $3,226,654. And now we have, in 24-25, we have ADM of 2,852 students, and the actual beginning fund balance, 24-25, was $6,088,423. And so through the years, there's been an effort on the part of the commission to, again, fund adequately the school system and then some. And so the fund balances continue to increase and go up. And so to provide ample funds in times of need for the school system. And so that's one thing to consider. And then I also just looked at over the past 5 years, as far as extra money, such as sales tax. And because in addition to what's budgeted in the school budget each year, there's a sales tax revenue that we don't budget, that's extra money. And from years 2019-20 until through years 2023-24, there was actually a total of $2,007,125.91 of additional, that's extra money that wasn't budgeted, that the school system received. That's through sales tax. So that was extra money, you know, to go for wherever it was non-budgeted, so it could be saved or put in fund balance or whatever. And so that's good to note as well, in addition to the funding that the county does through property taxes. And again, as far as looking at the fund balance changes, going back from 2011 to where we are now, the latest figure we had, it's actually gone up $2,861,769. At the same time it's gone up that much, we've lost 864 students in the system. And that's, again, just something to bear in mind and to consider as we look at where we are. And I know we all wish that things weren't like they were now, but the economy is what it is, and we have no control over that. We're affected by the economy just like everyone else is, and so we have to think about finding the best way we can to operate and try to live within our means and try to hold the cost as much as we can. So these are just some things I wanted to share and to point out. Another thing that a lot of people don't understand about is how our tax money, what the breakdown is on that. And like, for example, the percentages that go to various departments when we pay the outside of Union City County tax rate of $1.38, inside it's $1.16. And so the breakdown on that, the general fund, out of the tax dollars that people are paying in the county, the general fund gets 32.76%. That's what the general fund gets. And that, the general fund operates all of the departments in the county government, except the highway department, which they get then 3.16%. So just keep that in mind. Out of your tax dollars you pay, the general fund, it funds every office in the courthouse, and all of our offices is 32.76%, and the highway department gets 3.16%. The schools get 44.54%. So there's the breakdown on that, 44.54% for the schools. And that, of course, then is divided between the county system and the city system, because Union City chooses to have their own separate school system, and so they get a portion of the property tax. So out of the 44.54%, the county gets 28.92%, and the city system gets 15.57%. And then we have the debt service that gets 19.54%, so that gives you 100% breakdown of your tax dollars as far as, is how that works. Of course, right now, we have, until we get our new rates, every penny brings in $90,524. We'll be getting some new information. When will we get that, Judy?
Probably be after my county board meetings.
Okay.
Maybe June, June second.
So sometime in June, we should be able to get a new figure on that, but right now, if somebody asks you, what does a penny bring in for Obion County, it's $90,524. And that's, so that's, of course, how that breaks down for the taxes we pay. And then another question's come up was about the property that was bought last year that's adjacent to Obion County Central High School. Several of you will remember that we were approached by the school system. Mr. Watkins came in and said he would like for us to purchase that if we could for them, and they would like to have that for future expansion and growth. And look, the people had mentioned about the need for tennis courts and recreation areas, place for the band to have rehearsals and all of that. And it was an opportunity to assist the school system, and I think it's important to remember that in light of some who may feel that the commission doesn't do enough for the school system. In addition to the extra funding for all these years, we did in fact purchase that land. I negotiated the price down from what it originally was, and we bought that for the school system and then gave it to them to use. And so that's the reason, at their request, that land was bought. It wasn't bought just because somebody wanted to buy some extra land. It was bought because it was adjacent to land that the school system owns, and they wanted it. And so we did agree to provide that for them.
Mayor, how much was that land?
$250,000. And so we did agree, buy that for them. And again, as far as, when it comes to funding, just for a breakdown, to give you some real numbers, we have what's called the maintenance effort, the local maintenance effort that we have, that we're responsible for, and then what the state says we have to do. And so in 2019 and 20, the state said that we were required to give the school system $6,247,000 in property tax revenue. But rather than give them $6,247,000, we gave them $8,735,351.
And that's a number I want the public to understand.
Yes.
That's a number that just gets overlooked and that people don't talk about. Say that one more time. Go back over that one more time.
Just in 2019 and 20, all right, the required state amount that we're to give the school system was $6,247,000. But rather than give them that, Obion County Commission voted to give the school system $8,735,351, which is additional $2,488,351 that
Okay,
year.
so hopefully everybody understands numbers enough to understand that.
Now, that was out of maintenance of effort. There's a required state match, but then the maintenance of effort is also required. So
Yeah.
whenever anybody uses the term overfunded, that is where overfunded comes in, because in the past, this county commission has given the school system more money than what was required by the state.
Yes.
And now we are actually
Consistent.
restricted at a minimum of what we can give them.
Yes,
Because we gave them more money
once
than
we
what was
provided
required
them
in the
more
past.
money, that became the new floor. In other words, we couldn't go below that. So the next year, 2020-21, the required match was gonna be $6,135,000. We gave them $8,733,103 that was an additional then $2,598,103. And, this ADM count had gone down from 3128 to 2960. But our funds that we gave them did not go down. And so then in 21-22, the maintenance effort that was required, the state required us to do, $6,271,000. We gave them $8,933,103. So that was an additional $2,662,103. So, and the ADM then was $29.94. 22-23, the required amount was $6,458,000, and we provided them $9,668,803.
Mayor, I want to interrupt real quick. Per state law, the only time that you can reduce funding is when their student count goes down, correct?
Yes, yes.
Okay,
And
so, once that floor is set and we said, hey, we're gonna do it for this year, the only time, we're stuck at that forever until the student count goes down.
Right.
Yeah.
And the student count had gone down some during those years, but we elected not to reduce them any. And that year, in 22-23, the extra amount they received was $3,210,803. 23-24, the required amount, because of loss of students, the required state amount went down, that we had $5,760,989. Just keep that number in mind. We were required to give them $5,760,989. We gave them $9,668,804. We gave them $3,907,850, almost $4 million more than the state required us to give them, and they had a student count of 2,840. 24-25, the required amount was $5,660,192. We gave them $9,266,997, which was an additional extra funds of $3,606,805. And by this time, the ADM had dropped to 2,849. So from 2019 to 2024-25, we've lost 279 students as far as the ADM is concerned. So those are just some figures I think that's important that people really need to be aware of as far as, so they know really how to feel about this issue. Because if we don't know, we don't know really how to feel about something. So I think it's important that taxpayers understand that the commission continues to try to utilize tax dollars wisely. And over these periods of years, there's never been a time that the commission hasn't provided much more money, many dollars over what was actually required of them to do so, to support schools. We love our schools, and I know there's not anybody in this group, not anybody on the commission that wants to see anything happen to any of our schools. We don't want any of our schools to close. But we also, of course, want to make sure that all the taxpayers are taken care of in the decisions that are made by this body. And I again commend you on your desire to always look out for what's best, and the time you spend in studying and research and trying to make decisions always that put the best interest of our folks first. And that's my commitment to do, and I know that's your commitment to do. But I want to share these vital statistics with you today, and if you have any questions for me, I'll be happy to.
Well, we've given them roughly $20 million in the last 6 years, Steve. We didn't have to give them.
I'm not sure what I ain't got the total of that.
You're
but yeah,
close.
It's close.
No, no,
Yeah.
roughly,
You roughed
yeah.
it in your mind pretty well.
Yeah, that's amazing, yeah. So, but I just think it's important to have the figures because people have questions, and it's okay for people to ask questions. That's what they need to do, and we just need to give them some answers and let them be informed on the situation. All right, anybody got any more questions for me? Thank you very much. Appreciate your time.
I appreciate you putting this paper together here.
You're very welcome. Thank y'all again for everything you do.
Thank you, Mayor.
Any other business? Motion to
Move
adjourn.
adjourned.
Second.
Third.